Hi, I'm Joel. I'm an artist and animator at Stone Wheat and Sons.
So, Joe, we're here to talk about your adorable game, Kiwi, which we actually saw pre-pandemic in 2019 at a Microsoft showcase. I believe we saw you there. It might have been 2018, but we saw you guys there, and it was an adorable little game. Tell people who haven't who don't know nothing about this game what this game's all about.
Okay, so KeyWe is a game about two kiwi birds that work at the post office. Their names are Jeff and Debra, and they are new hires at the Bungalow Basin Telepost, a postal service servicing the rugged territory of Bungalow Basin, which is small communities spread out over large patches of wilderness. The post office is very important, keeping everyone in touch. And Jeff and Debra's job is to work together to send the mail on time by packaging shipping crates and typing telegrams with their butts and assembling notes, ransom note style, from little fragments. They basically go from room to room in the post office with a two-player game, couch co-op. It's kind of a platforming puzzler game where you're running around with your little kiwi birds on a work surface, interacting with a world that's much larger than you to get the mail sent on time.
Now I have to ask, because I think I asked this to some of your developers back in 2019, but when I immediately saw your game, the first thing I came to my mind was Rescuers Down Under. I don't know if people have seen that film. There's a scene in the movie where they're trying to convey that a boy has been kidnapped, and all these mice and these little creatures are on these giant workspaces hitting buttons and hopping around and stuff like that. There's one on keyboards that are on a typewriter that are jumping and typing a letter. Any inspiration from that at all?
Absolutely, yeah. We a couple of us we're big fans of the Rescuers series as kids. The Rescuers and Rescuers Down Under. Other animated movies too, where characters are little animals interacting with a larger world, like Secret of Nim, Fern Gully.
It's a puzzle game where you have to figure out, because it's not like a flat keyboard. It's not like a normal. They're all fun, like office environment things. Like, because otherwise, if it was just a keyboard, it'd be boring. So you have the keys on different levels, and you have to go to them. You have to type everything correctly, and you're also on a timer because you have to get the mail out in a prompt time. Correct? That's
right. Yeah. The initial, we can talk a little bit about, I guess, how the idea for the game came about later, but we wanted the postal environments to be, post office kind of a mundane environment, and so how do we make that like fun and cool looking and colorful has been a fun challenge, and we wanted it to have a kind of the idea that some of these workstations are, they're cobbled together from sort of unorthodox pieces of machinery, like using a toaster called the Post Toaster to package envelopes and things like that. We wanted it to be, not just a regular, giant QWERTY keyboard.
It's like very animated, very, very creative, very like, I don't want to say like childlike, but just very like, how would animals run a post office? You know what I mean? Like, that's basically like the theme, right? Like,
we Bungalow Basin, which is the setting that the game takes place in, is a place where humans and animals live and work together. Things are not always the right size for the right species that are using them. So the environment of the post office is definitely a non-traditional post office.
And as an artist and animator on the project, can you talk a little about like your inspirations for making? Because you make these little animated creatures have so much personality, for having animals, for not necessarily talking, and you even have some crazy cosmetics like animals wearing other animal hoodies and like designs and fun little cosmetics that you've added to the game as well. Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, so, I guess with the kiwis themselves, we joke that like nature already had mathematically the cutest character. Nature had already designed that.
Mathematically.
So it's like objectively, like nothing is cuter than a kiwi bird. But we wanted to stay pretty close anatomically to like what's going on in a kiwi. So in there, as far as like how the characters are rigged and stuff, the way their legs and stuff are set up, it's pretty analogous to a kiwi skeleton, and wanted to definitely have the naturalistic movements of them, scratching themselves and shaking and having bird-like movements.
Is it hard animating the kiwi, like specifically because like birds, like I'm not sure about the kiwi, but birds move so quickly. Like normally, like there's no in between frames. They just go from here to here instantly. You know what I mean? Like, was it hard animating that, bringing that to life?
Yeah, it was, because I wanted to have it. I wanted to have those bird-like movements in there, especially in their heads and the twitches and stuff like that. But it's just finding how do we have it look quick enough that it is convincingly bird-like, but not slowing it down enough to kind of stylizing it just enough to still read as a bird without being strange to look at or make people think that they're dropping frames or something.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the real trick, right? To make it, you want it authentic, but at the same time, it has to not affect the gameplay negatively. So sorry, you were going to saying about Bungalow Basin and having like nature's cutest kiwi birds. You also have a plethora of other animals in there as well.
We do have a few other critters in the game. We have the cassowary courier team, which are kind of the Bungalow Basin equivalent of the Pony Express. So I don't know if you've ever seen a cassowary. I'm guessing you have. It's a big flightless bipedal bird. Yeah. So these guys have like a mailbag strapped to them, and one of the things that Jeff and Debra are doing is preparing letters and saddling up the cassowaries, who then go and deliver the letter on foot, which involves bribing them with pieces of fruit while one kiwi like buckles the mailbag on top of the cassowary. We have Zoe, who's a giant Pacific octopus. She is the Telepost head administrator. She works at the drop-off depot and helps you interact with customers and sort incoming and outgoing mail. We wanted to have an octopus in the game because we wanted to have an octopus in the game, and we just like the visual of an octopus being able to multitask with all of her arms doing different things. And what we ended up doing is kind of trying to get across in the game the idea that there is a series of interconnected like saltwater tanks kind of built into the basement of the post office. And so Zoe can kind of pop up from room to room through these like manhole covers that are there. That's sort of how she gets around. Yeah, we have another creature that you run into in the game is the mail flies, which are native to Bungalow Basin. So luckily we won't encounter them outside of the game, but kind of a big picture, a cross between like a dragonfly and a mosquito. And they're big enough to cause trouble for a little kiwi bird.
Your game has so much personality in it in terms of like not only the animals and the environments, but like of the games themselves, because you have, you know, certain games where like you're typing things on the keyboard and have to send things out, pull stamps off things, pulling things, collecting orbs. You have a lot of different like essentially mini games within your game. Can you talk a little about these different things you'll have to do in KeyWe?
The sort of base levels of the game, as you progress through the game, the like level select screen is a calendar. So you start off looking at a calendar that has summer at the top, and it's got all the days of the week in it. And each level is a different postal shift that you work. So you might be assigned to one of several rooms in the Telepost, like the telegraph desk or the transcription room or the shipping floor. And you will go into that room and there will be a core mechanic to what that is. So in the example of the telegraph desk, that's where you're running around and typing with your butts on the keys. You will go back to that room throughout the game, but every time you go back, there will be some new twist on that mechanic. So the next time you go into it, now it's nighttime, black lights are on, and you're sending coded spy messages by decoding the symbols that are showing up on the screen. Or that room might be overgrown with carnivorous plants that are weaving in and out of the keys, that are trying to grab the kiwis and swallow them, or paranormal activity that is causing a haunting. So we wanted to kind of build on the base mechanics of each room, trying to find a blend between like variety, not having you to completely relearn everything with every new level being completely new, but also enough variety that it's always a little different. And then we also have the overtime shifts, which are these kind of fast-paced mini games that are things that Jeff and Debra can do that are sort of ancillary to their core postal duties. So feeding the cassowaries, or participating in a workplace snowball fight for morale, or a rhythm game where you are doing a live broadcast of the Telepost anthem. I mean, as far as the variety and all that stuff, once we had the idea for the setting and the kiwi birds, you know, thinking of what would be cool, what would be something that we would want them to do, or what would we want to do as Jeff and Debra? So the rhythm game is an example where our programmer Ben was like, I would really like to do a level where somehow Jeff and Debra play musical instruments, if we can figure out a way to do that. So we did.
It's interesting because, I mean, that's got to be a challenge and challenging and fun thing to do, is to design things for the kiwi birds to do, because they don't have arms. So like you can push, you can pull, and you can like stomp, right? But like you're like, now how do we take those concepts and apply them so we have more variety, which it sounds like you were able to do because you have a ton of variety in this game.
We tried to have a lot of variety. We had a lot of ideas. We didn't want it to we wanted it to seem to keep staying interesting and with new fun things to look at and fun things to do. And we just loved the setting so much that that was one of the biggest things I think that pushed us to try to get all this variety into the game. Is we just really liked it, and we had so many ideas for it. Like, oh, what would it be like in autumn or winter here, and what sorts of holidays would they celebrate? Going back to the variety.
You talked about it before like crazy. I was just
yeah.
saying that you have a ton of different things to do, and sounds like it was fun just to create all those challenges, like challenging in a way to like, how do we design an animal that has no arms? Not even
right. Yeah. Okay.
To do all
right. The interactions. Yeah. Yeah. So you can butt slam with your butt, which is a pretty common thing to do. They can also pick stuff up with their butts, like almost like a stamp. So you butt slam a stamp with a fragment of a word, so you'll kind of run around with that like a license plate on your butt. And then they have those very long beaks that they can use to peck buttons and things like that.
Just out of curiosity, was your team able to like fly to New Zealand to see the kiwi bird in their natural habitats, or did you guys use reference from videos and pictures and stuff you could find online?
Yeah, we haven't been to New Zealand. We would love to. Yeah, but yeah, lots of reference for sure. For animating and getting Grant, who's our technical artist, trying to get the fur, not the fur, but the feathers. The feathers. The kiwi. It's very hair-like. Their actual feathers are structurally it is almost like hair.
You guys have a lot of cosmetics that you can do to customize Debra and her partner. And talk a little about the different hats and hoodies and backpacks and things you can wear to make your kiwi your own.
That was an idea that we had pretty early on, was like, we have to be able to customize the kiwis. And we just had a ton of ideas for that. What would be fun things for them to wear? What would we want to see? Like, with the kind of rugged outdoorsy vibe that we were going for with Bungalow Basin, that was an inspiration for a lot of this stuff. So camping backpacks with hanging light up lanterns and things like that we felt fit the tone of the game. And then also some stuff that's like totally out there. The way that sort of fits into the broader game is whenever you complete a postal shift, your time clock comes up on screen and you get a score. You get a bronze, silver, or gold ranking based on how quickly you sent all your messages. And then it kicks out stamps, which are the currency that you use to buy stuff in the wardrobe, outfit your kiwis.
And then just a curiosity, like Jeff and Debra, where did you come up with those names?
It just came to us like when we were at the Global Game Jam, which is where we came up with the idea for the game. We were like, what should they be called? And Jeff and Debra, it just seemed like good, solid names. We didn't want them to be too outlandish or exciting names. We liked the idea that Jeff and Debra are, they're civil servants. They're working a desk job, and that's who they are. They're just like your neighborhood postal kiwis.
Yeah, because like Jeff and Debra is probably the name of my postman and my postmaster at my my local post office. I like it. I think it's funny when you give, because we all have pets. Everyone has some type of pets, and I always think it's funny when an owner gives a pet like a human name, like, oh, that's Mike. Like, who names their dog Mike? Like, that's
my cat Dave.
What does he say? Like, they say it in Family Guy. He's like, Steve. What a ridiculous name for a cat. That's a human name. Like, we always name them like weird nicknames or something. But I think it's funny that I think it adds to the whole tone of your game when you see these two cute little kiwi birds. You're like, oh, that's Jeff and Debra, and people are like, what? I think it fits perfectly in with the theme aesthetic of your game.
Yeah, we wanted it to be, we always try to treat Jeff and Debra they all are very cute and very small, but we treat them with respect. They're postal professionals. They're here doing a job, and they're employees of the post office.
Joe, when does your game come out and what platforms will it release on? I know it's coming out soon. I think next month, right? A little over a month.
Yeah, KeyWe launches on August 31st, and it will be out for PC and all major consoles. Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and next gen.
Did you guys do your own Switch port, or did you outsource it?
We outsourced it. Yeah, we worked with the guys at KeyWe Games, who are working very hard to help us port the game.
That's awesome, man. And in the meantime, where can they go to support the game, pre-order it, or find out more information about it?
The best place to go, I would say, is our Twitter. We're at KeyWe Game. That's where we've got all the latest news and stuff about the game. We've also got a Discord that you can join. There's a link to that on the Twitter. And yeah.